And as a source said to me, William thinks the Sussex brand is worthless. It's so tarnished. It's worthless. Why are we fighting? Let them be. Let them. They're not as powerful as you think. They're not as powerful as they think. They're not going to bring down the House of Windsor. In fact, you do the opposite. You encourage Harry and Meghan to do more because the more they do, the more people realize this isn't right. This doesn't feel kind of cool. This doesn't feel good.
Prince William has reportedly reached a brutal conclusion about Harry and Meghan's brand. It's losing value fast, and the palace should stop wasting energy fighting them all together. The thinking behind it is simple. The more public the Sussexes become, the more people notice the difference between real royal duty and a celebrity-style version trying to cash in on the royal image. That belief is now spreading through palace circles and reportedly made its way to Rob Shuter, the American entertainment reporter behind the Naughty But Nice Substack.
Royal family finally tell Prince Harry to go away and never come back again. He is attempting to build his own monarchy.
Shuter has built a reputation for tracking the day-to-day drama surrounding the Sussex operation in California over the last year. What Shuter revealed this week points to a major shift happening behind palace walls. Just 6 months ago, sources claimed the mood inside the palace was full of frustration and tension. Every Sussex interview, business deal, public appearance, and media headline reportedly triggered reactions behind the scenes. There was constant effort being poured into handling the fallout and controlling the narrative. Now, total silence. And according to insiders, that silence is not weakness. It's a calculated move. The palace has reportedly switched from directly reacting to Harry and Meghan to something much colder and more strategic: complete indifference. Not because they have no response, but because they believe ignoring the situation actually works better. Inside palace circles, this approach is allegedly being called the "let them" strategy. Let them speak, let them travel, let them roll out luxury products and social media campaigns, let them promote fashion links through one-off, let them post cryptic astrology content online, let them appear at major events and present themselves like official royals. The belief is that every new move adds to a growing public record people can judge for themselves.
He doesn't anymore. He may want to be the people's prince, but Diana knew the crown only mattered because the crown came first.
Instead of battling every claim or headline, the palace reportedly thinks the Sussex brand is exposing its own contradictions in real time. That's the twist in all of this. What once looked like the monarchy struggling to respond has now turned into a strategy built on patience and distance. Palace insiders reportedly believe the more Harry and Meghan push for attention, the less the institution needs to say at all. The whole strategy now seems built around one idea: let the public watch everything unfold and come to their own conclusions. The royal institution has always been skilled at using silence, symbolism, and careful distance instead of jumping into public fights. The so-called "let them" doctrine reportedly pushes the monarchy back to that old-school style after years of reacting to every Sussex headline and media storm. Rob Shuter's take on the strategy stands out because he comes from a public relations background dealing with major celebrity clients, including people with far messier reputations than the palace has ever faced. According to Shuter, the noise around a controversy eventually fades if the facts are on your side. And in this situation, palace insiders reportedly believe the monarchy holds the stronger position. King Charles is still carrying out royal duties while battling cancer. Prince William continues pushing major royal projects and recently landed a huge Tatler cover that framed him as a prince for our times. Princess Catherine has slowly returned to public life during her own recovery, appearing calm and measured in every appearance.
Actually, Harry is emboldened by what happened in Australia. He enjoyed himself. He enjoyed going to meet people. He's awfully good when you send him to a hospital to meet with children. He gets down on his knee and he has that Princess Diana quality about him. He's missed doing that. He's awful in a meeting at Netflix. He's awful in a business meeting. He's just not very good at doing very...
Even family moments, like Princess Charlotte's birthday photos, are released carefully and receive positive reactions across the world. At the same time, the royal family's image stays rooted in stability and routine. The Wales children attend traditional elite British schools, public appearances stay controlled, and the institution keeps producing steady results without non-stop drama or attention-seeking headlines. That consistency matters. The Sussex side, according to this argument, creates a lot of buzz, but not much lasting substance. Social media astrology posts, fashion affiliate links, celebrity-written magazine tributes, and repeated emotional storytelling may grab headlines for a day, but critics say it does not create the same long-term institutional weight. More people are reportedly starting to notice the difference between publicity and real influence. Then came King Charles's state visit to the United States in May, which palace supporters viewed as the perfect example of why this strategy works so well. Even while dealing with cancer treatment, the king reportedly handled a packed 5-day diplomatic schedule that included presenting the HMS Trump Bell, helping push forward whiskey tariff agreements between Scotland and Kentucky, receiving a bipartisan standing ovation in Congress, and attending a high-profile White House garden party filled with major celebrities like Sarah Jessica Parker, Lionel Richie, and Anna Wintour. Shooter's comparison was especially sharp. In his view, the difference between the monarchy's institutional power and the Sussex media operation was like comparing The Lion King on Broadway to a small amateur theatre production struggling to capture the same spotlight.
To do it by myself. I don't need them. They had nothing to do with the trip to Australia, which still, in Harry's eyes, went particularly well. He enjoyed the attention. He enjoyed being a prince again. And there is a place for that. It's not going to be as large as what his mom had for all the reasons that I pointed out in my Substack story.
At the same time King Charles was pulling off major diplomatic events, the Sussex household was facing a much rougher public reaction during its Australia tour. Reports claimed some locations in Sydney had sparse crowds and noticeable empty barricades, while a Roy Morgan poll allegedly showed that 81% of Australians said the visit did not improve their opinion of Harry and Meghan. That number raised eyebrows fast. Then came more awkward headlines. During a Bondi Beach memorial appearance, Harry was caught on camera making physical contact with a stranger in a way that quickly sparked online chatter and criticism. Meghan's Her Best Life retreat also drew attention after reports claimed only around 47 guests attended, despite the heavy publicity surrounding the event. Critics also pointed out that Meghan reportedly appeared for only a short amount of time, fueling even more debate online. The timing made the comparison impossible to ignore. Within the span of 1 month, the public saw the monarchy delivering polished, state-level events, while the Sussexes faced questions about turnout, image, and influence. According to palace watchers, this side-by-side contrast only reinforced what royal insiders already believed. The institution still knows how to command global attention on a completely different level. That argument became the center of Dan Wootton's recent broadcast discussion with Rob Shooter, where they focused heavily on how Prince Harry now appears to be adjusting to the reality of his separation from royal life.
Walking behind his mother's coffin, and Harry, despite all the things he's done, we probably disagree on this one, but despite all the things that he has done, there's still part of me, Dan, that wants old Harry back, and I could forgive Harry. I think I could, because I want to believe that there's a good guy in there. As days go by, as months go by, as weeks go by, I don't know if I completely believe that anymore.
According to Shooter's sourcing, Harry has reportedly stopped trying to fight his way back into the palace system altogether. Sources claim he now accepts that Prince William has no interest in rebuilding the relationship, and that the institutional split is likely permanent. Observers say that shift became especially clear during King Charles' recent state visit. Earlier in the year, Harry had reportedly made visible efforts to reconnect, including a face-to-face meeting with the King at Clarence House during a UK trip. But during the May visit, there was nothing. No meeting request, no public signals, no invitation, and no visible attempt to reopen communication channels. To some royal analysts, that silence carried a deeper message. They believe Harry has now accepted the palace's position and is focusing on building a completely separate identity outside royal control. Instead of chasing his old role inside the monarchy, he is reportedly trying to create a new image built around international activism, charity projects, emotional openness, and celebrity influence. According to Shooter, Harry may now be leaning heavily into a strategy inspired by Princess Diana's later years. Diana became a global humanitarian figure who operated with increasing independence from palace structures. She used high-profile charity work and emotional public connection to maintain worldwide attention without relying on official royal coordination. That comparison alone is already stirring major debate online. especially among royal watchers who believe Harry is trying to reshape himself into a modern global figure rather than a traditional working royal. Whether that strategy succeeds or completely backfires is becoming one of the biggest questions surrounding the Sussex brand right now.
Believing that he was going to lose Catherine, the Princess of Wales, because of her cancer fight. And actually, that hardened his resolve, Rob, rather than actually made him want to forgive Harry or bring Harry back into his life. It was actually like, no, I want to keep this guy out because I need to focus on what's really important. And Catherine's really important. My children are really important. My father's really important.
Harry reportedly believes he can recreate the same kind of public connection Princess Diana mastered, but with a modern California twist. Instead of working through palace systems, he now operates through his own charities, media projects, and global campaigns. And unlike Diana, he also has social media, streaming platforms, and non-stop online exposure working in his favour. According to Rob Shooter's interpretation, the Australia tour became a turning point for Harry. Sources claim that Trip convinced him the People's Prince image could actually work outside palace control. During the tour, Harry appeared relaxed and fully engaged while meeting children in hospitals, speaking with families, and connecting closely with people facing disabilities and personal struggles. Some of the strongest moments came from simple interactions that reminded many viewers of Diana's style of public compassion. Clips from the tour spread quickly online and generated emotional reactions from supporters who felt Harry looked most comfortable in humanitarian settings rather than royal protocol. From Harry's perspective, the attention proved something important, that his name alone could still attract audiences, cameras, and worldwide discussion without needing the palace machine behind him. But according to critics and royal analysts, there's a major limit to that comparison. Harry may still have public recognition and emotional appeal, but Diana's influence operated on an entirely different scale because she never fully lost her connection to the institution itself. Even during her conflicts with the palace, Diana still carried the weight and legitimacy of the monarchy behind her image. Harry, meanwhile, is operating after that institutional support has largely been removed.
Living ball of stress is unforgivable, given that they were battling forms of cancer, Rob, which are exacerbated by, guess what? Stress. And so I can't forgive it. And I think other people will too. And for me, I don't think that Meghan Markle is to blame for everything that Harry did. Like, I think she's a completely appalling woman who manipulated him in a lot of ways.
That changes everything. Analysts argue his global reach may remain strong, but the ceiling is lower because he no longer represents the monarchy in an official capacity. The title still creates attention, but the structure backing it is no longer fully there. Shooter also pointed out what he sees as the biggest flaw in the Diana comparison. Diana challenged the royal system, but she still believed deeply in the crown and understood its importance to the country and to her son's future. She pushed the monarchy to modernize and adapt, but she never positioned herself as someone trying to replace it. One palace source reportedly summed up the difference with a sharp line that immediately caught attention online. Diana bent the institution. Harry keeps trying to burn it down. That quote has now become a major talking point among royal commentators. The argument is that Diana acted like a reformer working from inside the system, while Harry is often viewed as someone building his public identity in opposition to the monarchy itself. And according to royal observers, that difference completely changes how audiences react. Diana was often seen as the emotional conscience of the royal family. Harry, on the other hand, is increasingly viewed through the lens of conflict, separation, and rebellion against the institution he once represented. According to Rob Shooter's analysis, the biggest difference between Harry and Princess Diana comes down to how audiences emotionally connect with them. Diana was often viewed as compassionate, emotionally intelligent, and carefully controlled in public. Harry, meanwhile, is increasingly being seen by critics as a frustrated royal living abroad and publicly airing grievances against the institution he left behind. Shooter's breakdown of the contrast was especially sharp.
Harry was a good guy when he wasn't, and they did. They can do it again. And so if Harry has the right people around him, he's never going to win back everybody he lost. But in this world, you can make a really good living off a small percentage. Now everything is niche. It's much smaller.
He argued that Diana had emotional intelligence, discipline, and restraint, qualities that helped her read situations carefully and understand exactly how the public would react. She knew when to speak, when to stay silent, and how to make powerful statements without appearing consumed by personal anger. That discipline helped her protect her public image even during deeply difficult periods in her private life. And her restraint meant she picked strategic moments to challenge the system instead of constantly reacting emotionally in public. According to royal commentators, that control became one of the reasons people connected so strongly with her. Harry's public image, by comparison, is often portrayed as being driven by frustration and unresolved conflict. Critics argue that much of his media output, interviews, documentaries, podcasts, and public appearances, circles back to personal grievances involving the royal family. His media teams then package those emotional stories into polished commercial projects that keep generating headlines and revenue. The issue, according to palace observers, is that audiences can still sense the bitterness underneath the branding. Supporters may view Harry as honest and emotionally open, while critics see someone repeatedly revisiting family conflict in public. That divide has become a major factor shaping how his global image is evolving. Dan Wooten also raised another deeply personal issue during the discussion: Princess Catherine's cancer diagnosis. And Shooter reportedly believes this became one of the biggest reasons Prince William hardened his stance against reconciliation. During Catherine's treatment period, William was reportedly dealing with the terrifying possibility of losing his wife, while also managing public pressure surrounding her absence from royal duties. Her condition was serious enough to spark worldwide concern and endless speculation online during her time away from public appearances. According to sources, William became intensely focused on protecting his family and managing the responsibilities directly in front of him. In that mindset, there was reportedly little emotional energy left for repairing the relationship with Harry. And instead of bringing the brothers closer together, the crisis may have pushed them even further apart. Royal insiders claim William came away from the experience with a clearer sense of priorities. His wife's health mattered most, his father's cancer treatment mattered most, his children's future and stability mattered most. Harry, however, was reportedly no longer viewed as part of that central circle. After years of public interviews, books, and projects centered around private family tensions, palace insiders believe William now sees the relationship through an entirely different lens. According to this interpretation, the emotional trust that once existed between the brothers has been damaged so deeply that reconciliation no longer feels realistic anytime soon. According to reports discussed by Dan Wooten and Rob Shooter, the separation between Prince Harry and the royal institution is no longer being treated as temporary. Insiders allegedly see it as permanent now. And at the same time, a new theory has been quietly circulating through parts of Britain's political and media world. Some commentators have even given it a dramatic nickname, Operation Thor. The idea behind it is simple but controversial.
When the king came here, he didn't even care. Like, he's not even trying anymore. For a minute, he was making a little effort, maybe not that big an effort, but now he's figured out, and not for the right reasons. He didn't want to make friends with his dad because he wanted to be a good son. He wanted to make friends with his dad because he wants to be a quasi-royal. He's now figured out after Australia that the worst lesson he learned in Australia was there is a role for him, and he can do all this without.
Several high-profile British figures have publicly hinted that Harry could potentially be welcomed back into the royal fold someday, but only if he separated from Meghan. That theory has reportedly been discussed by journalists, politicians, and establishment insiders for months. The Spectator, once edited by Michael Gove, has published commentary along those lines. Former Prime Minister Boris Johnson has also made remarks interpreted in a similar way. Even senior political figures, including Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood, have reportedly weighed in on questions surrounding Harry's possible future relationship with the monarchy. The core argument behind Operation Thor is that Meghan is viewed by some critics as the key factor behind Harry's collapse in popularity with both the institution and sections of the British public. According to that theory, removing Meghan from the picture could create space for Harry to reconnect with the monarchy and possibly repair some of the damage. But Wooten strongly pushed back against that narrative. His position is that the public record shows Harry made his own decisions every step of the way. The Oprah interview? Harry agreed to it. The memoir Spare and its explosive claims about family conflict? Harry approved it. The repeated public discussions involving his mother's death, his brother's marriage, and sensitive family matters surrounding the coronation. Those choices ultimately belonged to Harry himself. Critics may argue Meghan encouraged or supported certain moves, but Wooten's point was blunt. Harry was not a passive bystander. He actively participated in the strategy that turned private royal tensions into global media content. Because of that, many royal commentators believe public forgiveness would never happen simply because Meghan was no longer involved. According to this view, any real reconciliation would require Harry to personally take responsibility for his own actions, instead of shifting blame elsewhere after years of public conflict. And even then, analysts believe one major obstacle still stands in the way: Prince William.
I felt it. 6 months ago, the palace was livid. They were angry. They were tearing their hair out. They didn't know what to do with these two. And now there's a hush. It's the let them theory. Let them. If they want to go out there and do it, let them. They're not as powerful as you think. They're not as powerful as they think. They're not going to bring down the House of Windsor. 2 people from California running around Australia. It doesn't matter.
Wooten argued that the British public would likely follow William's lead on the issue. If William openly forgave Harry someday, public opinion could soften. But right now, royal insiders say William's actions suggest the complete opposite. Reports surrounding the Sandringham invitation situation, the coronation seating arrangements, and the broader one-side treatment described by royal correspondent Rebecca English all point toward continued distance rather than reconciliation. And according to palace watchers, Catherine's cancer battle only made that divide even deeper. Instead of reopening old family bonds, the crisis reportedly reinforced William's focus on protecting the people closest to him, while keeping Harry firmly outside that trusted inner circle. According to Dan Wooten's analysis, Operation Thor faces one massive problem right from the start. It depends on Prince William agreeing to something he currently appears least likely to support. The entire theory relies on forgiveness signals coming from the one person who reportedly has no interest in reopening the relationship. That's why many royal watchers see the idea more as media speculation than a serious institutional plan. Wooten also argued that many of the political figures and commentators discussing Harry's possible return are far removed from the actual people making decisions inside the royal household. In other words, the headlines may sound dramatic, but insiders reportedly believe the monarchy itself is operating on a completely different page. And according to royal observers, the British public already recognises that difference. Another major obstacle, according to Wooten, is the timing of Harry and Meghan's media projects during the final years of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. Both were elderly, both were dealing with serious health pressures, and both faced enormous public strain during the period when the Sussex media fallout exploded globally.
Look at that picture. Harry and Meghan can never, ever give us that. And the palace has finally figured out their power. And I'd forgot it too. I'd forgot it because I was so annoyed with them. How do you handle them? How do you punch back? And the answer is you don't. In fact, you do the opposite. You encourage Harry and Meghan to do more, because the more they do, the more people realise.
The Oprah interview, Netflix projects, and the early development of Spare all unfolded while the late Queen and Prince Philip were reportedly navigating declining health and intense personal stress. Wooten argued that many members of the British public have not forgotten that overlap, especially because stress is widely understood to worsen serious medical conditions. Critics of the Sussexes believe the pattern has now repeated itself again during King Charles's own cancer treatment. According to this interpretation, the monarchy has spent years managing deeply personal health crises while also facing repeated waves of public-family conflict playing out through interviews, books, documentaries, and commercial media deals. That's why some commentators argue the issue is no longer about one interview or one controversial moment. They believe the public now sees a larger pattern, one where private royal struggles repeatedly become part of global media storytelling and commercial branding. And for some people, that perception has become extremely difficult to overlook. Wooten also highlighted a television appearance by commentator Nina Maisko as an example of what he sees as the shrinking public defence around Harry and Meghan. During her appearance on British TV, Maisko defended the Sussexes but struggled, according to critics, to present a strong list of concrete accomplishments tied specifically to Meghan's public role. Much of the defence focused on Harry's Invictus Games work and arguments that Meghan has faced unfair or sexist media treatment. But Wooten argued that the discussion exposed a deeper issue. Supporters often focus more on defending Meghan from criticism than pointing to long-term institutional achievements connected to her work. He contrasted that with senior royals like William, Catherine, Charles, Camilla, Princess Anne, and Edward and Sophie, where supporters can immediately point to years of charity projects, public duties, and institutional contributions.
Once again, the House of Windsor have won this. They're going to win this. These two are going to become more and more irrelevant. And as a source said to me, William thinks the Sussex brand is worthless. It's so tarnished. It's worthless. Why are we fighting? Let him be.
According to Wooten's framing, that difference matters because public support becomes much harder to maintain when defenders struggle to build a strong affirmative case instead of simply pushing back against criticism. Critics of the Sussexes, according to Rob Shooter, are now reaching a point where they believe supporters can no longer point to strong accomplishments and instead mainly argue that the backlash is unfair. Shooter, drawing from his own years in public relations, said that defending high-profile clients without major achievements to back them up becomes extremely difficult over time. His argument was simple. Eventually, public perception settles around what people consistently see and experience. In PR, image can only carry someone so far if audiences stop believing there's substance underneath it. Shooter reportedly believes that relying on publicity alone without meaningful results creates a weak, long-term strategy. Another moment that grabbed attention came from commentator Nina Maiskau, who warned during a television appearance that there are plenty of royal secrets to come out, believe me. That line immediately sparked fresh debate online because critics viewed it as another example of pressure tactics tied to the Sussex media narrative. According to royal commentators, the repeated suggestion that more private royal information could still be revealed has become part of the broader atmosphere surrounding Harry and Meghan's public story. Whether those claims involve interviews, books, documentaries, or rumoured future projects, the idea itself keeps tension alive because the palace can never fully know what might surface next. Wooten also linked this atmosphere to reports involving a possible future memoir circle connected to Oprah Winfrey, Melody Hobson, Shonda Rhimes, and Nicole Avant, a group some media outlets reportedly referred to as the Four Women Circle. According to reports discussed in the broadcast, the idea of future autobiography-style projects has remained quietly present in the background of Sussex-related media speculation for quite some time.
It's very much this idea that Catherine was threatened in some way by Harry and Meghan, and that's what resulted in all of this. Nina Mishkov is the latest going out there in the British mainstream media. You probably wouldn't have seen this, Rob, so I just want to play it to you so you can respond as to whether...
At the same time, royal analysts say another major shift is happening in the marketplace itself. Omid Scobie, long viewed as one of the Sussex's strongest media allies, reportedly struggled commercially with his recent royal book release. Reports claimed the book fell far down Amazon rankings despite massive media attention surrounding its launch. Shooter contrasted that with the success of his own novel, Started with a Whisper, which reportedly climbed into Amazon's top 10 and briefly hit the #1 spot. Supporters of Wooten and Shooter argue this reflects a wider audience shift, one where readers are becoming less interested in strongly Sussex-aligned narratives and more interested in commentary critical of the couple's strategy. According to this interpretation, audiences are now sending signals through spending habits, streaming numbers, and product launches. Critics pointed to several heavily discussed Sussex-related business efforts that allegedly underperformed expectations, including luxury product launches, seasonal promotions, and online merchandise campaigns that struggled to create the explosive demand supporters predicted. For royal commentators following the story closely, these commercial reactions are being treated as more than isolated setbacks. They believe the public is gradually deciding which narratives still hold influence, and which ones are starting to lose momentum in real time. The biggest signal, according to royal commentators, is now coming directly from the audience itself.
Session must continue. The big machine, the big carriage has to go on. I can't imagine that Harry and Meghan would give up their life in California. Why should they? They have a very, very good life. But they can do an enormous amount of good. That because, look at Harry's Invictus Games. Look at the, and actually, it's always blame the woman, isn't it? So Meghan gets Meghan has copped it from the start, And I think she has a genuine...
People are voting with their wallets, their clicks, their views, and their purchases. And critics say the pattern has been remarkably consistent across multiple Sussex-linked projects and media products. The weak commercial performance tied to Omid Scobie's recent release is being treated by analysts as more than just one disappointing book launch. To them, it signals something much bigger, that the independent royal commentary world has now overtaken the traditional Sussex-friendly media ecosystem in both audience attention and influence. Figures like Rob Shooter, Dan Wooten, Lady Colin Campbell, Paula Froelich, Robert Jobson, and other royal commentators have built huge followings through Substack newsletters, YouTube channels, podcasts, and independent platforms. And according to media watchers, many of these creators are now pulling stronger engagement numbers than parts of the old-school royal rota press system ever managed to maintain. That shift matters because it changes who controls the conversation. In the past, carefully managed media access and selective interviews could shape headlines more effectively. But now, independent creators can respond instantly, analyze every detail, and reach millions of viewers without needing palace access or controlled conditions. According to critics, this creates a serious challenge for the Sussex media strategy. Harry and Meghan can still secure interviews and favourable coverage in certain outlets, but the reach of those appearances no longer guarantees control of the wider narrative. Independent commentary networks are now too large, too fast-moving, and too financially sustainable to be pushed aside easily.
As when she's trying to paint the positive picture. So it's like, oh, Harry has the Invictus Games. Well, that's it. We know that's it. And she's like, Meghan, what's Meghan done? People are sexist. People are sexist. Blame the woman. She could not, Rob, point to one positive thing that Meghan Markle has done for the world. And is that not the issue? Because we could all point to a multitude of things that Prince William has done that is good for the world, that Catherine has done for the good for...
That's why analysts say all these stories, William's reported "let them" strategy, Catherine's health battle strengthening royal unity, the Operation Thor speculation, Nina Miskow's controversial defence, and the commercial struggles surrounding some Sussex-aligned projects, are all connected pieces of the same larger picture. According to this interpretation, the monarchy has quietly settled into a strategy built on patience, distance, and non-engagement. Instead of publicly fighting every accusation or headline, the institution reportedly believes time itself is now doing most of the work. Meanwhile, critics argue the Sussex side is running into a growing problem. Supporters increasingly struggle to point to long-term achievements strong enough to outweigh the constant cycle of controversy and media conflict. Some commentators believe the underlying issue is financial as much as personal. They argue the Sussex brand originally depended heavily on its royal connection, and now that institutional backing appears visibly weakened, maintaining the same level of commercial power becomes much harder over time. Analysts like Wakeford reportedly estimate the next 5 years could become the most difficult stretch yet for the Sussex media operation. Even so, royal watchers expect the headlines, social media messaging, celebrity partnerships, memoir rumours, and public speculation to continue non-stop. The palace, meanwhile, is expected to stay on its current course, letting Harry and Meghan speak freely while refusing to engage publicly in return. And according to many analysts, the public has already started drawing its own conclusions from watching both sides unfold in real time. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this with others following the royal drama, and drop your thoughts in the comments below.